I wanted to give you guys some advice if you're new to anything, really. I talked about the crab bucket. The crab bucket is basically people who don't know what they're doing congregate together and dwell and obsess over stupid shit all day, every day. Okay? And when you see people with collections, hordes of garbage, you do not want to listen to them. It would be like growing up as a kid. You know, your friend is obsessed with Legos. You hang out with him. His entire room is filled with fucking Legos and drawings of Star Wars and, you know, bullshit like that. And you get indoctrinated. The next thing you know, your room is filled with Legos and Star Wars drawings. And, you know, that's what happens when you get into these communities. You start to think like them. And the next thing you know, you start to talk like them, start to have collections like them. And the best thing you can do is to separate yourself from audio communities and learn on your own, okay? That's what I did after well over 10 years. Now, again, I was never a part of those groups, but I listened to them and I learned absolutely nothing. Because, again, a lot of these people, they're not about trying to find good audio equipment and moving on with their life. They're about dwelling and collecting and hoarding and staying stupid. You really have to understand this, that people are really fucking dumb. You want to know why there's so many microphones, there's so many products out there? Because there's a lot of dumb motherfuckers making equipment. And, it's overwhelming. I almost don't even want to talk about it because it's so fucking pathetic. But there's a lot of people out there making headphones that cost thousands of dollars that sound really bad, microphones, and they use all this marketing dribble. Okay, you have to learn some basic things. Okay, you really do. Don't read anything that you've ever. Again, like there's people saying the HD 600 headphones are flat. They're warm without any bass extension. They have a 5K peak that nobody talks about. You know, a 3K shout that some people talk about. I don't know why they talk about that. That 5K peak is fucking miserable. The treble is completely withdrawn and there's a couple of grain spikes. I mean, it can't do treble. It can't do soundstage. It can't do bass extension. It sounds warm. It's all mid-range. And people glamorize this stupid shit. You can't hear so much. And it's not voiced correctly at all. People glamorizing the Shure SM7B microphone. It needs so much gain. It's ridiculous. It sounds dark and woolly and muffled. Why would you glamorize a dark, woolly, muffled piece of shit? And I think the greatest over-glamorization of all, the Neumann U87AI. Before it, there was the Neumann U87, which was completely flat with a slight little treble boost that doesn't even matter. So it was basically a flat mic. Boring, not voiced, worth a damn. Then they came out with the U87AI. The treble boost was small, narrow still, a little bit bigger than the original treble boost, and now it just sounds nasal. They completely fucked up the U87AI. I couldn't believe that when I finally realized that. One of the world's most glamorized voiceover microphones. You want to know the real reason why it's so glamorized? Because Neumann's other microphones are even worse. They colored them in such a bad way that it's fucking pathetic. And the Neumann TL103s are actually voiced better than the U87AI. I know. I'm going to get a lot of shit for that, but it's true. These don't sound nasal. They do sound more musical because they have such a treble extension. You know, the articulation, the sibilance and shit. But these are better voiced. Better voiced than the U87AI. Lower self noise. They don't have a bunch of shit on them that you don't need. But people are stuck in the past, glamorizing the U87 before, you know, the TLM-103 even fucking came out. You know, it just kind of sticks with people. That's really what happened. It's kind of like the AKG C414 series. They came out with so many different iterations. They sound completely different, but they're still a industry staple. No, they're fucking not. They changed dramatically over time. Totally different voicings. Totally different microphones. And people still say it's a studio staple. It's not even the same fucking microphone. It just looks a little bit like the predecessors. Okay? So there's this lingering bullshit. Boy, it's bad. Audio's bad. Oh boy. I could just go on and on and on. Main thing is, crabs in a bucket. Never trust anybody who hoards and collects audio equipment. Don't trust them. Don't listen to them. Don't sit in those communities. Best thing I ever did was learn on my own. Stop listening to all this dumb motherfuckery. There's so many microphones out there. So many that are more expensive than the Neumann TL-103, voiced totally wrong. You got to cancel them out. And then you realize there's nothing really up there. It's just a bunch of bullshit. A bunch of bullshit. Bunch of dumbasses who don't know what they're doing, producing products. Marketing division takes hold of it. We got to make $1,000 microphone. And you don't even make it any good. $1,000 headphone. Don't even make it any good. Just a bunch of dumb motherfuckers buying a bunch of dumb fucking shit. Creating communities around it. Headfi. A few other places. Low-level scrubs creating their own communities. Oh boy. And it's all a money-making scheme. Peddling the latest garbage. It's normalized. You sit around in groups of other stupid motherfuckers.